Hello and welcome to the 32nd installment of the Subject Podcast. How are you?
I don't know why you ended that with a whisper. That turned it a little bit creepy, I'll be honest with you there.
Nah, man, I don't know. I was going for a dramatic radio announcer.
If we're going dramatic radio announcer, wouldn't it sound more like, hello and welcome to your Subject Podcast. This is episode 32.
I think you've got some words mixed up. Dramatic doesn't mean bogan.
I feel like that wasn't that bogan.
I don't know. So that to me sounds like old white Australian guy.
To me, it just sounds like whatever's on TV.
Yeah, it's the same guy who does all the voices.
It's the same guy that does the exact same voice going, have you and your family suffered an accident at work? Call us now on 1300 go fuck yourself. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, if you don't already know, my name's Chris.
Ah, yes.
And that's Mike.
Introductions.
Yeah.
Hello.
Should probably do that, hey.
Well, I mean, if you look, this is the 32nd installment, like I said, and if you don't know our names already by now, that's shocking.
I mean, we might get some new listeners, and they've only heard this episode, so they've got to decipher whose voice is what, and us introing it makes it a bit easier for them.
Fair enough.
We're looking out for your newer listeners. So
and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for clicking on. Get ready for a trip because this week is a pretty interesting week. I'm not going to lie. I know we've been talking about the US election for the last couple of episodes, and that's obviously still massive news because that's all still ongoing. There's more votes coming in. There's allegations of fraud and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to touch on that this week. We're going to give you a break from the idiots over in America. We're going to talk about some idiots in Australia instead. Person that's going after these idiots.
Yeah, right.
Being Kevin Rudd, good old Kevin 07.
Yeah, we brought up this a little while ago.
Yeah, it's regarding the petition, not permission.
The permission.
The petition to start a royal commission into the News Corp and Murdoch media monopoly. Yeah, basically. And so that's been going on through the US election, and oh boy, it's gotten spicy.
Yeah, well, how many signatures? It was like over 1 million or something.
It was just over 500,000 signatures,
just over
but
500,000.
still record breaking for a petition in Australia. That's the most amount of signatures that any petition ever in our history has got. So well done, Australia. When it comes to kicking down the tall poppy that is the Murdoch media, we're all for it, and I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, we're also quick to just jump on it because we know it's bullshit. Like,
oh yeah,
it's so obvious.
And like reading articles from News Corp and even government funded websites like SBS and the ABC are all sort of trying to cast as much doubt on the validity of the petition. Because apparently, and this is according to a Australian article, there's been about 1,000 fraudulent signatures on that petition, which, to be fair, brings the total down to 499,000 signatures, which is still
that's still nothing to laugh at.
A lot of signatures.
That's a lot.
So it doesn't really affect it as much, but News Corp is just going crazy over this. Oh, it's 1,000 signatures. Oh, they've been fraudulent.
Yeah, it's like, so we can't trust any
of it now.
It's the US election
all over again. Yeah, so that's Murdoch's been basically clutching at straws, I think, because now he knows that the Australian public don't like him anymore.
Yeah, well...
And they know that he's just spitting lies.
Lately, he's had so much attention brought to him in the last year or so.
Yeah, and it's been mostly negative attention as well.
Exactly. So more and more people are hearing about it, so more and more people want to stop it.
Oh, yeah. I would want to stop a egotistic megalomaniac as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, both of us put our signatures on that on that petition. I hope our listeners at home, a few of you guys signed it as well, because, man, if you didn't hear in the last episode, I'll tell you again, the Murdoch media owns about 70% of the publications in Australia, and in Queensland, where Rupert Murdoch is from, he owns every single one of them, which is not really diverse media at all.
Basically, all the media outlet is owned by one guy.
So it's just one person.
So it's just his opinion or whatever he wants on all of that.
Yeah,
and he's a heavily political guy.
Yeah, he is. He buys dying newspapers and publications just for the political power. He's running a loss on his News Corporation. The News Corp is not making any profit, but he still keeps at it because it gives him political power.
Yeah.
And there was an article that I was reading today as well, that said Malcolm Turnbull, actually one of our previous prime ministers, has teamed up with Kevin Rudd.
Yeah.
Because he is in agreement with obviously all the facts about he's like got a monopoly on the media,
well, you
and
can't,
it's not fair.
You can't say he doesn't, because he does.
He does. Owning 70% of publications in the country, that's a monopoly. I don't care who you're from, who you are, where you're from. That's a monopoly. You know, there's no room for anybody else to move. But what I was getting at was Malcolm Turnbull reckons that the Liberal National Coalition and News Corp, so Rupert Murdoch's publications, are working as a team. They're working together, which I 100% agree with.
Yeah.
To me, it just seems like every time something bad happens for the Liberal government, the Murdoch media comes up with, sympathise for the character of that person. You know, that just because they were corrupt doesn't mean their personality is corrupt. I'm like, well, yeah, it does. But, you know, it's like, think about the whole ICAC kerfuffle in New South Wales with Gladys Berejiklian, and the fact that when they put through another movement to investigate the Liberal Party for corruption, guess who voted that down? I'll give you one guess.
Yeah, one.
One guess. You get one guess.
I get one guess. Ooh. I mean, like, seriously.
I mean, it's kind of obvious. The Liberal National Party
yeah.
voted it down.
It's pretty obvious.
So, it really doesn't seem corrupt that the people that are going to be under investigation for corruption are trying to vote down this movement to investigate them for corruption.
Yeah, it's like...
Sounds a bit sus to me.
Yeah, it's like, hold up, this doesn't sound right. They come after us? No.
And you know what happened when they first voted that down was the Australian Federal Police raided the offices of the CFMEU, which is a union office in Sydney. So, like, their first knee-jerk reaction was, we're under investigation. Raid the CFMEU.
Yeah, raid them.
The unions must be corrupt. Even though it was me, I knew it was the unions. It's just... It's wasting taxpayers' money, because I don't know if anybody's aware, but all those AFP agents all have to be paid for that raid.
Yeah, and
all the gear has to be subsidized. All the vehicles have to be, the fuel, the tires, everything.
Yeah, it
all
cheap.
costs
it's
money.
It's not cheap. And the court order processing and all that.
Exactly. And especially with the Liberal government's management of the economy, they just buy things at exponentially more expensive prices than what is actual retail.
Yeah,
for this place. Like, they spent $100 million on some water that was worth $3 maximum. So they're horrible economic managers. So I can promise you they're probably going to be horrible at managing their equipment that they use with their government-funded services, like fire brigade, ambulance, police, the federal police, obviously. But
when these things happen, you know what they do? They just disappear.
Yeah. Oh, look. Well, we found nothing. Oh, let's put that under wraps. That never happened. Come on, honestly, screams corrupt to me. Honestly, it's man. So, getting back onto Murdoch, because we went on a bit of a tangent there.
Anyway,
sorry, I'm ranting about two different things at once.
It's fine. So Murdoch.
So Murdoch. So
once again,
I think that it's inevitable that he's going to be under investigation.
I really hope that somehow he just ends up either having to sell off a majority of his newspapers, or
he won't.
prison time.
He won't sell. They'll just shut
shut them down. Either way, he has to disband and at least probably 30% or 40%.
Oh no, I'd want it to be more.
Yeah, but
I'd want it to be 70%
they'd probably
of
make it under 50% so that it's not a monopoly because he doesn't have the majority.
Because I don't want him to have the majority of the publications in the country.
Oh, you don't want him to have more than 2, maybe.
Let alone the world. Because let's not forget he is a worldwide.
Oh yeah, he's
influence.
everywhere.
He owns a lot of publications in America. He owns a lot of ones in Europe as well, especially in England and Britain at large. And it's ridiculous. It's somewhere close to 60 or 70% of the publications in both of those countries, again, that he owns. So it's not just in Australia that he's got a monopoly. It's in
other countries.
In other countries, it's worldwide. He has a worldwide plague on humanity. He's literally a plague.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the creepy
the creepy hand,
the creepy
finger
disjointed hands because he's a fucking. I don't like the man.
No.
If that's not been obvious, I just don't like him.
No. Honestly, the need to manipulate the mass is just insane to have. Like, this guy I bet he loves doing it too. You know,
absolutely.
He's just like, yes, I'm gonna, manipulate this group of people because they read my shit and they believe every single article that goes into it. You know?
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's so weird when you ask people, how, where'd you hear this from? Or, oh, I read it in the paper. And you're like, okay, cool. Did you follow up on it? Go back, look it up on Google, really read into it.
Oh no.
And then they're like, no, I just what I heard on the paper and on the news.
On TV.
Yeah.
On Sky News.
Sky News, man, that's the woke. Oh, so woke.
God. I think one of our mutual friends shared a Sky News video snippet on Facebook. And there were obviously with the caption, "Oh, this makes so much sense." I'm glad that they can see clearly and tell the news how it is. I watched that, and it was all just bullshit. It was all lies.
It was all lies.
It was all lies. 90% of the stuff they were saying was just false.
Yeah.
And the other bit was conjecture. So stuff out of context anyway.
Yeah, it was confusing to watch.
It's just stupid.
Hard to believe.
Like it. Yeah, that's fucked. So yeah, that's pretty much my rant on Murdoch.
That's what
about done.
That's it.
I mean, there's been allegations, obviously, from the side of Murdoch, like I said, about false, fraudulent not votes, signatures on the petition.
It is good that the petition has gone through and made it into.
It has been tabled at Parliament as well, and it is being discussed. There'll be an article that we post down in the description talking more about that as well, because it hasn't gone through Parliament just yet.
Yeah, no,
I don't think it's got to the voting stage.
No,
it's just been tabled, so it's just been brought up by the Greens,
which is great.
Which is pretty great.
It's great that I watched the video of them presenting it and then putting it on the table, and I was like, yes, this is it, finally.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I know a few people who signed it, and I was like, yes, good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good that people are seeing this.
It's good that people understand that it's not It's not right that one person owns the majority of publications and is the voice of the majority. Because to me, the majority should be the voice of the majority, not one person, aka the minority being the voice of the majority. It's not. It's not good.
It's not. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I just really hope that it, something happens,
I hope he goes to jail, honestly.
Yeah. For what? Honestly, some of the
hysteria,
stuff. Yeah, some of the stuff he's printed, it's just,
It's misleading the public. It's false advertisement. It's all kind of bad things. It's just, if it was anybody else that did that, they would be straight in prison. Like, faster than you can even click your fingers, they'd be in prison. But because it's Rupert Murdoch, they're just going to let it slide, I guess.
Well, he probably has a lot of dirt on people,
Oh, he'll definitely have a lot of dirt on people.
He's probably blackmailing some people and just being like, hey, look, I
wouldn't
published
surprise
this
me.
article wrong, so you're welcome, but be careful because I've still got all the dirt.
There is another article that I was reading as well today, the Independent Australian, which if you want a truly unbiased source of news, go to the Independent Australian or Michael West Journal. They are both independent journalists, and this one in the Independent Australian is talking about the history of the Murdoch family. So it's not just Rupert that's been doing this stuff.
It was his son, wasn't it?
It's it's his dad as well as him, and I think his son as well. So it's going now on 3 generations of deceit and lies.
Yeah.
Which, like I said before, not good. Especially when they own the majority of the papers.
They can do whatever they want with it.
And news sources like Channel 7.
Sky 7 News is, I think it was like the most watched TV show.
7 News is just a knockoff Sky News. It's a free TV Sky News. It's the same thing. That's literally it.
I mean, you probably get more out of your local news than you probably would the whole...
Well, yeah, they tell you more about what's going on in your area.
That's better.
But it'd be like the bigger issues, the more...
They don't talk about those in the local ones.
No, that's true. They tend not to. Yeah. But like your big hour-long broadcast of the news, they generally tend to touch on these subjects and just quickly, like 2-3 sentences. But they still get those little digs in, bury those little turds of lies into your brain and make you think, hang on, is that actually real or are they just fibbing to me? So, I mean, like I keep saying, I just want this kind of rubbish to stop. Stop the lies. It's just stupid.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So, I got something for you, man.
All right, moving on.
Here's a thought.
Let's go again.
So, earlier in the week, I came across an article that posed a question, and it had me thinking. And I thought, this is an interesting question. And the question is, when do you think that humans decided to become monogamist?
See, that is actually a really interesting question.
What caused us to do that? Because, like, biologically, it doesn't make sense why we would. Like, there are some mammals, I guess, that are, like, naturally monogamous. They only mate with one person and then that's it.
Yeah.
And, it's weird because here it's like, here as in, like, with us humans, we have that through, I guess, relationships that we form, but it's not the same. Like, it's because in these mammals, like there are geese that mate for life essentially.
Yeah, and those geese live like 20 something years.
And if their mate dies, then they don't get with anyone else. And that's like a species thing, like that's inherent. Whereas here it's kind of taught,
it's kind of like a sociological thing where we're taught it's unacceptable to be polyamorous. When you're obviously with somebody, you are with that person. You're not with anybody else.
Exactly.
So monogamy nowadays is being taught. I agree with you, but I feel like it's also somewhat now
it's just
inset to our brains from like the very start of our lives.
You think, or is it just built into our society now? So now that it's just normal, now it's natural, but inherently not, because it's not biological.
Yeah, well, the thing that I find interesting is evolutionarily speaking, we are very closely related to apes, obviously, and apes generally tend to mate and sleep around. There's only really sort of one silverback in the herd, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's
the alpha
usually
male.
It's usually the alpha male, and then maybe a couple of juveniles.
Yeah,
and then just the rest females.
Female. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's not only built into our society, but it's also obviously taught to us, and like I said, it's probably set into our minds from a very young age, where we're either taught or shown that this is how relationships are supposed to be. You know?
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's fine, like monogamy. You know, I think it's I think it's good in our society now, but it's just it interests me to think when.
Yeah, what was the turning point?
What was the turning point? What made us do it? You know, what as a species, what made us change? And the thing is that in this article, I'll post down there in that description.
With all the other articles that we have quoted as well, just by the way.
Scientists don't know exactly when it happened, and they don't know how it happened, but there are a lot of theories of what might have caused it. And the thing is that there are just so many possible theories. It's hard to, pin the exact one.
One theory that I think was probably one they talked about, this is just what I'm thinking right now, is probably when there was an oversupply of food and less of a need to wander and be in like a nomadic sort of grouping of people, where they sort of started to settle down, build settlements, more permanent residences, started setting up farms. I feel like that would have been the major turning point. Obviously, it would have started maybe a little bit earlier, or it could have started a bit later. You know? But I feel like it would have been sort of around that
where
time.
We felt the need that we didn't have to we didn't have to travel all the time anymore. We just stay in one place, group up, and just keep breeding and building.
Yeah, so the monogamous relationship would mean that you have your partner and you are a family. You raise your children as a family unit, and then there's other family units in the settlement or in the tribe or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And they obviously have their own partners and kids. And I feel like that would be when the monogamous and the sort of the standard that we have now for relationships is sort of where it started there.
Yeah.
Way back when.
You see, it's interesting because there are tribes in the Amazonian rainforest, right? That, they're pretty much untouched from Western civilization, other than us, just
coming to them and
talking and all that
finding
kind of
out
stuff.
things about the culture.
Exactly. And they asked about, relationships and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they answered, one tribe anyway, answered that they don't understand the monogamy, like they just don't understand it. For them, it's the whole tribe is one family.
Yeah.
So all the kids are looked after equally, and it's just it's not like forceful or anything. It's just consensual all around, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. Is my question then?
Which kind of sounds like what gorillas do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That sort of makes me question whether that tribe is still living nomadic existence, like moving around a certain territory, or if they have actually settled down and they're just kept to that tradition, and that's just become like an offset and like the abnormality now, I guess. Or whether we were like that for thousands of years before we started to be monogamous, even after building settlements and farms and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe it's the tribe or village, whatever, hasn't grown big enough for them to need or want to be, just monogamous with one person. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I also have a theory that may have caused it through our societies, or Westerns, the build up huge.
Yeah, I was trying to think of back to when like the Europeans would have settled down and stopped being a nomadic species.
Yeah,
of human and settled down and been what we would now call modern day humans.
Yeah,
especially with like a mindset of living in a town or a city and having a job, having a wage, being for want of a better term, functioning member of society.
Yeah,
so there's. I feel like I still feel like that could be the turning point. Is when we sort of started settling down. Is that was the turning point into monogamy?
Okay, so here's a theory for you.
Okay, I would like to hear other theories as well. If you have other theories, by the way, listeners at home, send us them down in the comments down below.
Yeah, let us know.
Here's
something.
Or if you're a historian and you know more about this than us, hit us up, man. Tell us we were wrong.
Send us that Google link. I dare you.
Absolutely.
So, okay, here's the theory. So there was there was a group of Canadian scientists that were coming up and trying to theorize about monogamy, right? So they kind of came to the conclusion, they tried to mathematically map the evolution of human mating norms. They discovered the larger societies grew, the more widespread sexually transmitted disease became. So they concluded that disease put pressure on humans to embrace monogamy as a way to prevent the spread of STDs.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And especially if a population is exploding like the human race has, I can see those kind of diseases being transferred really quickly if people weren't monogamous and also not practicing safe sex, which, obviously nowadays we've got a lot of devices to help us with that. But back in the yesteryear, they probably didn't have any of that. So that's probably why the STDs were more widespread than they are now.
Exactly.
And that's also probably a reason.
I think that's a pretty interesting.
That's a pretty compelling argument. I'm not going to lie.
That they've concluded anyway. So I could believe that for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And there are lots of other theories as well, but they've basically proven that through looking at other mammals, that do mate for life, and then comparing them, socially and by their sexual nature as well to humans, and we're not naturally meant to be monogamous. It just doesn't work.
Our way of thinking is abnormal, biologically speaking.
Yeah, we straight up go against the norm, and we just think, look, it's safer if we just partner with one person,
rather than sleep around with everybody that we can find.
Yeah,
which I would totally understand, because you're like, somebody could have a disease. I don't want a disease. I'm just going to find somebody.
Like, do you have a disease? No. Okay, cool.
Come here. Let's go.
Wedding now.
I put rock on your finger. You marry me now.
It's and then you've got like religions that kind of enforce it, and then there are some like Mormons where
Yeah, I mean, obviously, aside from Mormon ideologies or sociologies or whatever it is, I feel like a lot of religions are, like you said, enforcing monogamy or encouraging monogamy by saying, "Oh, you will win favor with our deity if you are monogamous, or you will get a better reincarnation if you are monogamous, or you know whatever it may be." So I feel like that would have obviously shunted us towards being more monogamous.
Yeah.
Because obviously, back when Christianity was first being conceived,
everyone was fucking Christian,
fucking,
you know,
everyone, and you'd have all these lords and knights or whatever you wanted to call them back in the day.
Yeah.
These really high-ranking people of society that would have multiple partners or mistresses or
it was okay to have a mistress,
and that was considered the norm. So, but that wasn't a monogamous relationship. No. Whereas maybe in the poorer sections of the cities that they lived in, there would be peasantry, as they were called back then. That would be in a monogamous relationship.
Yeah, they would be more dedicated.
They would be more dedicated. And
probably because of disease.
It probably is because of disease, because their living quarters wouldn't have been very well maintained. They would have been quite dirty from the get-go. There would have been a lot of crap out on the street that you could get diseases from.
Oh, yeah.
And also, you know, people not bathing as often as they should.
What's a bathtub?
Kind of reeks of disease right there. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you don't bathe every day, man, you nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I'm sorry,
nasty.
but man, you nasty. Come on, just like one shower a day. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I went off on another tangent
that was interesting.
But I feel like the point I'm getting at still comes across, I hope.
But do you think that when monogamy came in like really hard, do you think that kind of led to the fatherhood kind of instinct, I guess? Because before monogamy, the need to stick around, I guess, wasn't as much there because you weren't really just with one person.
Yeah. I mean,
so if it's like these villages I was talking about, you know, it's okay because everyone just looks after the kid.
Yeah, everybody looks after everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
yeah, but also,
what if it wasn't that? What if it was like, oh, you're preggers. Well, I got someone else over here. I'm not raising this kid or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, that happens today. Even.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. Which then even more proves my point that, you know, well, the point that monogamy isn't a natural thing.
No, yeah, obviously, we've obviously covered this. I think there's a lot to be said for, obviously, those small tribal communities being very close-knit. Yeah. And so that fatherhood instinct would probably already be there, because if not by choice, by obligation, you know, because you have a responsibility in your tribe to be a functioning member of that group.
Yeah.
So to be a functioning member of that group, you would obviously want to have kids. You would want to progress the tribe. You would want to further the development, increase the strength, you know, make it safer for future generations. You know, I feel like that instinct was probably there even back then, but maybe before humans became sort of more evolved and like building tents or whatever, even in the nomadic stage. Before that, I feel like that fatherhood instinct probably wouldn't have been there, considering the fact that it was probably mostly Neanderthals and Homo erectus.
That was when monogamy started, all the way back then?
I don't think that's when monogamy started, But I feel like that is when a fatherhood instinct, as you said, would have probably started to kick in when humans started grouping up in more substantial groups.
Yeah.
Of like 20 or so.
Okay.
So you'd have that massive social aspect. You'd have that that need to progress the group and to make sure that your DNA, your genes are passed down.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that is probably not a fatherhood instinct, but it's something close to it.
Because well, I guess in a way, you could look at gorillas again, and like the silverback kind of looks after the kids, but not really.
Not really.
It's more protection of the pack instead.
It's more protection of the females than anything else.
Yeah, it's not so much as much of. But like, I mean, I've seen photos and stuff of silverbacks playing with the babies, but other than that, they kind of don't do much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the silverbacks are lazy assholes.
Yeah, I know. But that's like if you think of us close to any other animals, you know, like chimpanzees and stuff, you know.
It does make sense to go back to comparing ourselves with gorillas, especially when we think of the evolution of the human genome, obviously coming from Neanderthals and Homo erectus all the way through to Homo sapiens and now to obviously you and I today.
Yeah.
The closest that we can get to DNA speaking is apes. So that's how we can compare ourselves on the evolutionary scale as to sort of where we are in our evolution.
Mm.
You know, we can sort of gauge it off of species that are close to us, genetically speaking.
Yeah. I think that monogamy now is different to what monogamy probably was, say, 500 years ago.
Absolutely. I would agree with you on that.
And it's not even just in a sense of, you know, being with just that one person, but also in a sense of the whole relationship itself, the whole commitment.
Like
because
the whole
I think
wanting to be with that person
I think
as well.
today's you know, monogamy comes from more commitment to one person, you know, that shows then like trust and all that kind of stuff. So you know that you have that with that one person. So now it's more of a need than...
Yeah, it's more of an emotional attachment rather than a physical need.
And it's also pressured like by society, you know. Society does pressure it, you know. There's how many...
Oh, when are you going to get married?
Yeah, there's a whole genre of films and books based on relationships and people falling in love and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Exactly.
And it's hardwired into us now, just from even just multimedia, you know, just from...
I think you're probably right there, especially given how often we consume media about relationships. Like you think free-to-air TV, right? You've got TV shows like The Bachelor.
Yeah, exactly.
The Bachelorette, obviously. Married at First Sight. Bloody... What else is there? Big Brother. Bloody... what was that fucking one where they're on this island in the middle of fucking nowhere?
Something Bachelor in Paradise.
Bachelor in Paradise. That was what it is.
There are so many dating shows that have been, you know, like
Farmer Wants a Wife. Yeah, all these Australian dating shows, and we're not even getting onto like the stuff in America that's happening, like all the TLC stuff, all the stuff
so
in
weird.
England. There's so much media that we consume every single day that tells us to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like most of the music that we listen to is either about love, death, or sex.
Well,
like those are the main three
and there's
topics.
a whole like festive day around it.
Yeah.
The Valentine's Day.
I mean, it's not really festive. It's a corporate design.
It's bullshit.
Valentine's Day is just corporate.
Like having a day to celebrate your commitment and love for somebody
That's your anniversary.
It should be.
Or it's every single fucking day.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day you have to celebrate being in a relationship with that person.
But for some reason, every single corporation has to go, oh, hold up here.
No.
I
You
can
spend more money today.
I can stuff me some of them bears with a little heart on it, and I'll sell it for $30
Instead
and
of
some
10.
poor bastard's gonna come in.
Oh yeah, and there's always that one guy that goes, "Oh man, I'm looking for a teddy bear with a heart on it. Oh, look at that one, $30."
Valentine's Day,
It's
florists destroyed.
Oh yeah,
Gonskis.
absolutely.
And it's like what, like flowers on Valentine's Day, sure. Like I feel like flowers just often,
Yeah,
it's nice,
why
even
not
even just
often?
for yourself, if you want. But
it's nice to.
it's nice having some flowers around the house, man.
Yeah, it is. It brings a bit of color to what is otherwise sometimes a bland sort of ensemble that we have in most living and dining rooms, I feel.
Yeah, some fucking pull it off, and can tip my hat to you, sir.
Definitely.
Love going into a house and just being like, ooh,
That's nice.
that's nice. Anyway, back to
Going off on more tangents.
monogamy. What do you guys think?
Let us know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? Do you have any theories on what the turning point was for humanity when we switched over to being monogamous and choosing to be monogamous?
Yeah.
Obviously, Mike's theory that he found is very compelling, and I would tend to agree with that because obviously scientists who know more about the topic than I do have theorized that is probably the cause.
They think that, they're pretty sure. And to me, it makes sense, thinking about it.
I would trust the scientists because, they're usually correct because they are scientists.
Yeah.
They know a lot of things.
But Hawking, he disproved his own theory.
This is true. And I'm always happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the kind of guy that goes, no, I don't accept that.
Hold up. You don't know.
You don't know me. But yeah, hit us up in the comments if you have any sort of theories on this. We'd be interested to hear from you guys. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button to keep up with us every single week. New episodes are coming out. I think that is all for this week.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we'll catch you next Thursday.
Thank you very much for listening.
Episode 33.
Episode 33 next week.
Keen for that one.
Let's go.
Adios.